You're listening to the Smooth Breakfast on Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life on a Monday morning. Beautiful Monday morning, that is, November 4th, 2024. It's that time to take a look at what's been going on in the papers, the headlines making the rounds, getting me talking as well. This is Freshly Pressed. Welcome along to the journey with us. My name is Ayokunmi, and of course, going to be taking a look at the stories. Analysis will come as well. And of course, for analysis this morning, I have two absolutely fine gentlemen joining me to take a look at the stories, Mr. C and, of course, Ibi Bozimo. Good morning to you, gentlemen.
Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, AB. Good morning, Lagos. Welcome to New Month.
Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Mr. C, and good morning to all of the wonderful listeners out there. Let's make this a productive week ahead.
A productive week, and of course, AB, as you tend to say from time to time, money making Monday as well. Yes, we need to make that money, get our money up.
Absolutely.
That's what it's all about. And for you out there, you can join us on the conversation as always by sharing your thoughts with us on WhatsApp on 0809 444 0981 is the WhatsApp number. You can also join the live stream on YouTube. You can find us at Smooth 981 FM Lagos on YouTube or youtube.com/, Smooth 981 FM Lagos. All right, I'm going to jump into the stories real quick. And we're taking this out of the punch, Mr. C. It's going to be like a double header, pam, pam, back to back. And this has to do with the story surrounding the End Bad Governance protesters that are, that have been or are, put on trial or have been on trial. Now, the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, SAN, has commenced moves to drop the charges brought against the 32 minors arraigned before Justice Obiora Egwatu of the Federal High Court in Abuja. Now, hours after the arraignment, the AGF disclosed in a statement late on Friday night that his interest in taking over the matter from the Inspector General of Police. Now, he noted that there were issues that his office would actually like to review. Mr. Now, this particular story has garnered a lot of attention, a lot of condemnation as well. I mean, for those who didn't see the video, there were videos of the court proceedings where there were a number of young-looking individuals who clearly were not grown-ups, and it was a terrible sight to see. But let me allow you to take this from here and give us the legal perspective as well.
Okay, thank you, Ayo. So, on Friday, Nigeria and by extension, the rest of the world is treated to very disturbing images coming out from a federal high court courtroom in Abuja. Now, apparently, the Nigerian police force had arrested almost 100 young Nigerians, and I dare say the majority of them are clearly under 18. They were packed like sardines into the court, looking very disheveled, unkempt, malnourished. And as the proceedings got underway, some of them collapsed right in court. We understand the judge had to retreat into his chambers. It was a hot mess. And then at the end of the day, the judge then granted each one of them bail in the sum of 10 million naira. And with a shorty who has to be a civil servant, I think at least level 13. Now, what were they charged with? They were charged with treason, mutiny, attempting to overthrow the government. This is extremely ridiculous, completely ridiculous. I disturbed that the Nigeria police force thought those were the best charges to bring against them. Now, it's instructive, and we must commend the AGF for his swift intervention. We must give him the benefit of the doubt that he did not know ahead of time the nonsense the Nigeria police force was about to do.
Hmm.
Because this is truly embarrassing even for this government. It's a law that has not been plumbed by other administrations. Because I looked at it, I felt sorry for the children because they've been in detention for at least 3 months. Now, I'm wondering, the Constitution says within 48 hours maximum, you bring them before a court of law. Did they obtain a remand order? If yes, what court did they get it from? Now, more importantly, I wondered what evidence did the police have? What evidence does the police have that in the event this were to go to a full trial, they will convince anyone that the people, the young Nigerians they brought to court were capable of inciting anything or plotting to overthrow a country, an administration. A country where we have the Nigerian Army, the Nigerian Navy, the Nigerian Air Force, we have the DSS, we have military intelligence, we have Civil Defense Corps. Is it those young, hungry, malnourished Nigerians that would have overthrown all these agencies, prevented them from maintaining the democracy we've enjoyed since 1999? Certainly not. And then, two, bigger question: when did the police start charging for treason? When did they start prosecuting for treason? For such a serious offense, you would think that they would consult the office of the Attorney General of the Federation first to see, look, should we proceed? Because when you think about it, for other criminal offenses, especially murder, when you're arrested, they will first take you to the magistrate court, then they will send the file to the director for public prosecution to determine which court has jurisdiction, and he will advise. Based on his advice, he will then arraign you in the proper court, and that is for murder. Now, for treason, how do you handle that sort of trial by yourself? Now, again, further, this administration has consistently maintained that Nigerians have the right to protest, but they must protest within the ambit of the law. Is there any evidence to show that these Nigerians they brought to court did not protest within the ambits of the law? What was even more disturbing and shows a breakdown of the order and discipline that obtains in the public service is the interview that was granted by some individual dressed like a lawyer. Presumably, the person
dressed like a lawyer.
He was dressed like a lawyer, presumably who representing the government in that day, where he sought to maintain that those people were adults, and then he gave some very extremely silly reason that they were married. And his two colleagues, similarly dressed like him behind him, were laughing.
But does marriage even indicate that one is an adult according to the law?
No. So that's the thing. Marriage does not necessarily mean you're an adult, because in certain parts of Nigeria, we have people below the ages of 18 who are married. So in Nigeria today, it is possible to be married, but yet not be an adult. So why is he speaking to the press immediately after the proceedings? Did he get consent from his boss to speak to the press? Because traditionally, growing up, public servants, civil servants do not talk to the press. They will tell you they have not obtained consent. Then, more importantly, from the legal point of view, why are you discussing the strength of your case outside the court? It's in court you insist or you maintain that they're adults, they're married, and then you tell us that the children who came to court came to see their loved ones. Again, there's a level of impunity that goes on that is truly shocking, that is truly saddening. I wish the prosecutors who filed these charges are made to answer questions, really and truly. And we must commend the AGF. SERAP has given a 48-hour ultimatum.
That's right.
But let's wait. So the AGF has said that he has no power over the remand order, but that he's going to move the court to reconvene earlier than the adjourned date. Now, guess what? You bring them to court on Friday, then you adjourn to January. Why?
Are the courts on break yet?
No, the courts are not. So the courts will go on break in December, second week or third week in December. So what is the urgency in just throwing the date to January?
So that means that if that actually pans out the way it does, that these individuals will be taken back to the custodial center or wherever it is that they will be kept.
Yes.
Will they be kept with grown men?
No, so they shouldn't. They should. And then this brings us to another question. There is a debate. Given their ages, should they have been brought to the Federal High Court? Because under the Child Rights Act, you should take them to juvenile court. But then there's another school of thought that says, because of the charges that were raised, can you try treason in a juvenile court? I think the answer is clear. No, you can't. So that's where the conundrum or the paradox comes in. But more importantly, if any of them cannot secure bail, right? The person remains in custody. And if they are already looking like that after 3 months, what is the guarantee that many of them will still be alive come January? So it's good the AGF has stepped in, but beyond this, the AGF has to put in place measures because he's a chief law officer of the state that henceforth such an event never happens again. And one easy way to do it, deploy officers from the Ministry of Justice who are lawyers. They should sit down in court every day. So if nonsense like this is to repeat itself again, immediately they get up and they say no. They tell the court no that the AGF's office is going to take over. They call the office, tell the court that the matter should be stood down, that someone from the AGF's office is coming to take over prosecution. Because this is really, truly ridiculous. And we have the international community looking. Why is this important? We're eternally looking for foreign investors, according to the political class. And yet you are putting this sort of tomfoolery in front of the global audience. What do you want a rational, sane investor to think? That Nigeria is a jungle with no laws or with laws that are not enforced properly. The CJN has work on hand. Serious work. And she has to work with the heads of the various courts, the Court of Appeal, the Federal High Court. I'm even disappointed that the judge on that day didn't take steps to throw out the matter. Or if he had to adjourn the matter, adjourn it to this week, adjourn it to Monday or Tuesday, and take every step possible to get rid of it. Invite the federal government that raised the charges to address the courts on jurisdiction. Invite them to address the court on why the charges should be sustained. But here we are. Sadly, this has happened. I hope nothing like this happens again. Because the impression the police is getting, there was only children protected. Where are the adults?
Good question. Very good question.
Well, it is what it is.
All right, AB, let me get your thoughts before we take a quick break.
Just two very quick thoughts. You might say, what evidence would they have presented that these are treasonous potential government overthrowers? They would say they have video evidence of some people waving a flag, but that same video evidence was denied in Kano when a certain former governor was seen stuffing dollars into his Babanriga. Second, you would ask, how can these people be considered to be adults? Well, people similar to them have been known to vote in Nigerian elections during certain other events. So you can see where, as a country, we are dancing with all sorts of confusing things. But bottom line, that was a bad national look. Having young children like that, I feel they are children. Maybe the lawyers involved can prove otherwise. Having young children that literally looking malnourished, collapsing in court over so-called treason. There are more treasonous activities going on in the halls of government than whatever those little children did. I'm happy that Mr. C has dealt with this thing comprehensively from a perspective of law and also from a human rights perspective. It is inconceivable.
Let's take a quick break right now. When we come back in, we'll take more stories. And of course, your messages lining up like traffic in rush hour on the Lagos roads. This is Smooth 98.1 and Freshly Pressed. We'll be right back.
My goodness, it was so pathetic to behold. Those kids, I mean, at that age, all those 11, 12, 13, you literally don't know the world around you, literally. You know, of course, you are growing up, but you're in Form 1. And I'm not sure how many of those kids are in secondary school. Because, no.
Or in school at all.
At all. That's the school at all. Because that's how they were gathered to do that kind of, jaga jaga on the road. God forbid. Let's take the other stories, Joe. Just
anyways,
quickly.
We're back.
Yep.
Welcome back to Freshly Pressed on Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life. You're tuned into the Smooth Breakfast on a beautiful Monday morning. Ayokunmi here alongside me, our AB, and of course, Mr. C, taking a look at the stories making the rounds in the papers this Monday morning. Come through and share your thoughts with us as well. Let's get your perspective. WhatsApp is 0809-444-0981. You can also join us on YouTube or streaming live at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. That is on YouTube. You can also drop a comment there and we'll take it as we get along. Meanwhile, a couple of messages already lined up. Like I said, I need to get through them. Let's see. Adegboyega Adidiji says, I think I think overstayed one's welcome syndrome. I'm not sure what you're talking about here. DDG is really telling on the IGP. I would advise him to leave the stage when the ovation is still loudest. Lately, he has been called up and confronted with many allegations. His recent statements and the inhumane manner the police handled the minors that were arrested. If care isn't taken, it will dent his record. It's better for him to throw in the towel now and enjoy his retirement peacefully. All right. This is from Yemi from Marina says, please, why does Mr. C always have to drag the good morning? Well, it is a good morning, Yemi, if you know what I mean. In any case, I've always maintained that we need to overhaul the prison system in Nigeria. That's the correctional system, not the prison system, yeah. Most importantly, is the need to have cutting edge information management systems that tell anyone anywhere in the world who is in prison and for what purpose. This will in turn hold the government accountable and tell us when they have kidnapped people from their homes. And I dare add, illegally. God bless Nigeria. Joseph Menye says, this most catastrophic government Nigerians would ever be experiencing. Just imagine frolicking with terrorists, bandits, yet arrest protesters who are minors for over 3 months for alleged plot to topple the government. We have politicians and government officials who keep looting the economy to stupor without any punishment, yet are quick to arrest alleged internet fraudsters and jail them. Honestly, anyone or people supporting this government. Okay, thank you for that, Joseph. I'm not going to complete that message. Ajayi Olunwa says it's a terrible sight to see malnourished children being charged to a federal high court for allegedly participating in hunger protest. Well, they said try to topple the government. That's why they are there. This sham of a trial is another reason the police and other security agencies must be stripped of powers to prosecute suspects. Prosecuting suspects is the job of the Attorney General. Barrister Dan Okuda says the best the AGF can do now in this particular trial is to enter a nolle prosequi in the matter. Mr. C, what does that mean? It doesn't matter the stage of the matter, as it were.
It just means that he's telling the court that the state is no longer interested in prosecuting the criminal matter and that it should end.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that's good to have, legal representation right here in the studio. All right, let's get back into the stories. AB, let me bring this to your doorstep real quick, and it has to do with matters concerning education and dealing with the NASU and SANU strike, which has been suspended. But let me just take an excerpt from the Vanguard. Now, the Joint Action Committee, that's a JAC of the Non-Academic Staff Union of Educational and Associated Institutions, NASU, and the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, SANU, has announced suspension of the ongoing nationwide indefinite strike over the 4 months withheld salaries. Now, the suspension, according to a circular to all branches of the two university-based unions, takes effect from November 5, 2024. That is tomorrow. But the thing is, the National Association of Academic Technologists, NAAT, said it would continue its proposed nationwide protest and the picketing of the Federal Ministry of Finance if the about 50% of the 5 months withheld salaries are not paid as promised at the end of the 2 weeks ultimatum to the federal government. Now, this ultimatum is expected to expire on November 13th.
Well, excuse me. The first people who will celebrate are those in our academic institutions, because there was that very obvious threat of their academic calendar being badly affected, even though the academic technologists are still part of the system. So there is a portion that may still be affected, but at least some of these other university union branches have said they're calling it off. What is curious to me is that they gave a warning, they called a strike, by themselves, they are calling it off. I am not aware that they got any response formally from government. There could have been some back channel conversations that have led them to call it off. And that, again, is in the best interest of the students who are going to be affected. But makes me wonder, did they not think the process through? And why, if they did they go on a strike that lasted one weekend or so and then call it off? I'm just curious because from my perspective, it doesn't appear as if anything specifically changed. But
Doesn't.
again, I am happy for the students who would have been stymied in their academic pursuits. I do hope that without strikes and threats of strike, government can exhibit something called responsibility in the sphere of academia and carry out its promises or its obligations to those that are involved in this strike. There should not have to be a strike for this going because I'm not aware that strikes happen before they pay themselves all sorts of monies and extra code to travel all over the world.
But the thing is, AB, looking at how this strike has been called off, I mean, it was very brief. And what Sano and Nasu had said before is that they would not be going back on this until their demands have been met and so on and so forth. Like you said, maybe some back channel conversations have actually gone down that we don't know about. But the question now becomes, now they've decided, okay, we're going to call off this strike. What I mean, who is to say that next week or in 2 weeks' time they won't come back again and say, oh, we're going on another strike just because something what was discussed maybe behind the scenes was not, should I say, kept to. We can't keep having this back and forth, strike today, strike next week, and so on and so forth.
That's my point exactly. I am not aware. Again, I cannot specifically say what happened or didn't happen, but from the outside, I'm not aware of one single thing different between when they called the strike, while they lasted on the strike, and when they have called it off. So it looks as if the strike method did not seem to be about to yield any results. Again, if they have back channel conversations, it would be good to have at least given an indication of that. But again, I'm just happy for the students because let those in school be able to project their exit date.
All right, Ibi. Now, since we're talking about educational matters, let's dive into the Guardian and talk about the Nigerian Education Loan Fund. That's NEL Fund. Has pledged its commitment to helping beneficiaries of the federal government student loan program to secure employment. Now, the initiative, the agency said, aims to ensure that beneficiaries can repay their loans without any difficulties. Now, Managing Director of NEL Fund, Akitunde Sawyer, stated this while addressing questions from tertiary institution students on the operation of the loan scheme.
You hear a person like the head of NEL Fund, and if you take him at his face value, I have no reason to imagine he is not sincere in his intentions. However, does he see the NEL Fund as being totally divorced from the rest of the nation? How is he? Okay, he's committing to help people get employment, and that's a great thing. But in the country right now, with the unemployment levels, how is he able, I mean, even in the best of circumstances, to, while he did not guarantee, he is suggesting that Nelfon will help. There are many people right now seeking for jobs. And by the time a university student enters university and comes out, those people have more years without jobs. I'm wondering, just broadly speaking, by what methodology does he intend to be able to create a pipeline, if you will, of jobs for those who have taken loans that will be separate from the pipeline of those who did or did not take loans who are currently looking for jobs? I don't know.
Right.
You hear people with intentions. As I say, intentions to me mean very little. And you wonder, is this person living in the same Nigeria? Is the person reading the same news? Is the person living on the same planet as the rest of Nigerians, or do they have this separate world where they feel they can control things? Again, good intention, but I just don't see what he plans to do differently to almost, if you will, line up jobs for those who have taken the loans. I'm just curious about it.
Okay, let me quickly jump in on this. So, apart from a few professions, say law, medicine, say engineering, a good number of jobs require you to have at least a second degree or possibly a second degree plus professional qualifications or even a third degree. Now, how many Nigerians can get jobs today with only a first degree from a local university when you're competing with other applicants who have degrees foreign degrees. So yes, it's therefore going to be part of the selection process. So when they say they're going to help you, short of opening a portal and putting your names there, what extra active step will Nelfund take to ensure you get a job? Do they have working relationships with any organizations, any banks, any fintech companies, any oil and gas companies? So I hear a lot of empty talk. How are you going to achieve it? Do you even have in place? This will be more believable if they already had in place an internship program where people who've utilized Nelfund services go on internships or industrial attachment trainings with certain companies.
That might lead to eventual
Yes,
employment.
good. Now, do they even have any working arrangement with NYC to ensure that, okay, from camp, certain people are posted? If all of these things are absent, like maybe I'm wondering how they're going to achieve this.
Let's not forget that Nelfund is a brand new thing. Students, industrial work experience, all these things have existed forever, and the jobs aren't there. So I'm just asking, not a bad thought, but how? It truly sounds like in my ears like empty talk.
All right. Zeman from Bristol, right here on WhatsApp, says these unions, Sanu and Nasu, are just jokers. They asked for the 4 month backlog, but got about 1 month and suspended the strike without calling any congresses with their members. These unions are heavily compromised. Who's talking to us here? This is a message from Kelvin. The IGP and the entire police force should be sued for a breach of the Child Rights Act and for dehumanizing children. And any persecution or prosecution for the government should be handled by someone from the office of the Attorney General, not the arresting institution. Fabian from Request says, it goes to show the double standard and lack of empathy of this government. An American citizen is forgiven while Nigerian children are locked up. Why should minors be shown with their faces? I pray those minors get released immediately and that those who charge them are swiftly brought to book. Mr. C, let's take this final story very, very quickly because time has absolutely flown by. And AB talked about intentions and all that. This is coming from the Daily Trust. Now, the Nigerian Immigration Service (NIS) has vowed to activate a tech-driven mechanism to protect Nigeria's 4,047-kilometer borders from irregular migrants and cross-border crimes. Mr. C, take us through this.
Okay, so
no vex. Do we have light? Go on.
So there was the annual Comptroller General Conference of the Nigerian Immigration Service, and it held in Jos over the weekend. Now, as part of the resolutions reached, the Nigerian Immigration Service, people, you need to listen to this very carefully, would now henceforth pay exceptional attention to Nigeria's 4,447 kilometer territorial borders with Benin, Cameroon, Chad, Niger, and the Gulf of Guinea to ensure maximum security for the country. We're now going to pay exceptional attention. What were we doing before?
Better late than never.
Okay.
They will now begin to restructure and improve the operations in the 774 local government councils in Nigeria and strengthen intelligence gathering and synergy with sister security agencies. So, in a nutshell, it's a story of we are going to do, we want to do, it's coming soon, it's loading. Now, on paper, these are good things. But this is Nigeria, right? Now, the year started in January. This is November.
11 months down the line.
And they're now saying, oh, we're now going to get drones. Now, drones are not made in Nigeria. Drones are foreign made. They're brought into the country. That means forex. Now, if you haven't bought the drones at the end of October, when do you plan to place the order? When do you plan to get them in? When do you plan to deploy? Is this still going to be?
You also have to train people.
Exactly. Is this still going to be in this 2024? The signs are looking favorable. Then you now want to enhance synergy with your sister agencies. On paper, fantastic. Because even a senior government official recently said they don't talk to each other.
We talked about this last week, yes.
So this will be fantastic. Given on the backdrop of the minister who said last week, there's a lot of illegal gold smuggling. There's crude oil theft that hasn't stopped. So if they can truly get the synergy off the drawing table and off the ground, fantastic. Again, you're now starting to pay exceptional security. We've had security challenges for the last 20 years. So how you're starting to pay exceptional security, what does exceptional attention to security actually mean?
Exceptional as opposed to just regular attention.
Given where we are, this should have been done ages ago. But again, we're where we are. We can only hope and pray that beyond the rhetoric, beyond the public declarations and announcements, some actual work will actually be done that Nigerians can visibly testify to. So we wait to see how all of this unfolds.
We wait to see. All right, let me just take one or two messages because we really need to go. Rexy from Surulere says, shame on the police and the lawyers involved. The good thing is that President Tinubu directed the AGF to put in a null prosecution. All right, Jerry says, what does the carrying of a country's flag mean to our security agency? Did people who carry the nation's flag while protesting peacefully not get shot at the Lekki toll gate?
So wait, let me quickly jump in. That flag that they say is the Russian flag, it's not the Russian flag. It's actually the defense flag. If I invite our listeners, go back and listen to watch any of the presidential broadcasts by President Tinubu. The flag that is white, blue, and red, compare it to the flags that they are complaining about and check whether there's a difference.
Jerry further says, if the government is concerned about the rule of law, they should lead from the front. This government has really eroded everything that's morally and lawfully right. Let me take one more. Tinu says, they were not paying attention before? God, I beg. All right, we need to call it a morning on the message. And of course, thank you, AB and Mr. C, for sharing your thoughts and give us analysis on the story. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. The pleasure and privilege always mine. Have a money-making Monday.
Right. And thank you all once again for keeping it tuned to Smooth 98.1. Don't go anywhere. Smooth Breakfast continues 8:15. We're time to get into the sports mode in Locker Room.
98.1.
Okay, guys. Have a great week.